to this computer. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Poetry Salon and Words with You poetry reading and open mic. I am your host for the evening, Trisha Faye Hefner. My co-host, Robbie Nestor, wishes she could be here, but she is having some technological problems, which just reminds us again kind of what a miracle this is. I think we all live in different states. Some of us are in different countries. And as long as our technology is working, we are able to meet and gather together and share poetry together, which I think is pretty cool. But of course, it does sometimes have its downsides, like if your technology isn't working, then you can't be here. So we're all going to send some good wishes to Robbie, and I'm sure she's going to watch the recording of this later on. Tonight we have two special guests. We have Adela Najarro and Mark Danowsky. I'm pulling up their bios here, their brief bios. Adela is going to read first, so let's start with her. Adela Najarro, Adela Josefina Najarro, in fact, is the author of five poetry collections, including Variations in Blue, selected for publication in 2025 through the Letras Latinas Red Hen Collaborative. Her other works include Split Geography, Twice Told Over, My Children's, and Volcanic Interruptions, a chapbook featuring artwork by Janet Trenchard. And she is gracing us this evening. So let me find the button that brings me back here. There we go. And I'm going to turn the spotlight over to you. Please welcome Adela Najarro.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. Um, it's a wonderful thing to do, poetry, nowadays in regards to our political climate. And I think I would like to say that I am a political poet, but I also feel that I'm, you know, uh, uh, a poet, but poetry is political because through poetry, even through story, through fiction, through all of it, we can tell stories that aren't told. And so, Variations in Blue, you can see my little book right there. Variations in Blue, the whole premise of the book is how language always cycles through. And you know how you end up telling the same story over and over and it always changes a little bit? That was kind of the idea that sparked it. So all the poems are in dialogue with each other, and there's usually sets throughout the book, and those are the variations. And one of the themes of the book in the middle section is that I was in a domestic violence situation in my 20s. And it's taken me years to write poems that I think artistically represent the domestic violence and the sexual violence that women experience. And so I'm going to read from that section because right now in our political moment, I don't know if we've forgotten that one of the markers of what's wrong is that the highest political office in the land is held by a sexual transgressor, and just that whole attitude of demeaning women fuels the harsh political climate we're in right now. So I hope that you will join me in these poems, listening to them and remembering how devastating those types of experiences are, but then how also we can always, even from the deepest, darkest times, we can always rise and overcome. So it's section two begins with a little bit from Adrian Rich diving into the wreck. The words are maps. I came to see the damage that was done and the treasures that prevail. The parking lot. It was Wednesday or Tuesday. It could have been Thursday around noon or 1 o'clock. The sun would have been out, or it could have been raining. It was a day in Southern California. By then, the freeways would have begun to clog, or maybe it would have been late enough for them to begin to empty. Some time, odd time of the day or evening, 2 a.m. or 3:46 or 7:17 p.m. Maybe it was July. It could have been August. I could have been married. Maybe it was before we were married. sometime during the honeymoon, una luna de miel. In Spanish, you can hear the moon dripping sweet, sweet, sweetness. It was the honeymoon. Or you could say the days before we got married and the days immediately following. The first time we were in a parking lot, a burger stand off the highway. We needed a walk, so we parked on asphalt between white lines. Maybe we pulled up and parked off the curb. There were two burgers wrapped in parchment paper, cheese melting, ketchup in miniature white cups. Two boys crossed the parking lot to their truck, a yellow pickup with the border collie in the back. That was the first time. He punched my arm. Did I tell you there was a sky? There was a tree, too, some grass. He didn't like me looking at the boys. I don't remember the second time, nor the third. Every town has a CVS or Walgreens or a Piggly Wiggly, stores to buy things we need. The strangest thing is how did he know? We bought Preparation H and spread the calm on my upper arm so the bruise would fade. A bruise shaped like California slipping into Mexico after an earthquake shattering fault line. Streets will flood after the big one comes. Warm, rushing water streams in. It did heal faster. The bruise, the deep congealed bruise, yellow, then green, then spiraling back to smooth, unblemished flesh. Okay. Okay. I know these are a little heavy, but I can laugh because I don't know. I'm just because I've worked through it. But to say the truth, you have to work through it, right? To heal, you have to be able to say this was the bones. The first little piggy went to market and got stuck on an earring. The next little piggy got caught in her hair. The third and fourth little piggies chewed down to the bone. The last little piggy had none. He cried, me, 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 until all his 5 fingers found a home. The hand that slaps the face contains 27 bones, 48 nerves. Nerves remember as they jump, shout, turn about. On a skull, there are holes, eye sockets, nail passages, little holes where ears used to be, where ants dance. Until we're all done, there is no rest. We may as well be marionettes stomping drunk on countertaps. How many times will a metronome beat before it's all over? On her cheek, a red imprint, a handprint, the nerves, the bones on your sister's cheek, on your neighbor's cheek, on the cheek of the girl across the street. We, they cry all the way home.
Hmm.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Ghost Wrench, Abiquiu, New Mexico. Sun bleached bones were most wonderful against the blue. Georgia O'Keeffe. This is a multi-section poem. 1. The library. O'Keeffe's books rest on an oak table. There are bones everywhere, dry white bones over a stone floor. Look at this, amazing. I'll find it. He lost the page where O'Keeffe drips pelvises, the shade of stone floors. Bleached bones echo what once was. A woman's orange hip, la mujer, la madre. Too many have slept on cold stone floors. The real question needs a vodka martini to wash down. Could
Hmm.
it have been different? On a bed above a stone floor, in the dark, she becomes una puta. Octopus ink spreads a tattoo over a belly button, scorched stone floors, everywhere sex, the hip rise of a mesa range, the solar flare, all this noise above a stone floor. On a good day, a bird rotates past. Its azure wing quietly sends shadow beats across stone floors. 2. The remains. Everywhere, dry white bones. Next to the library, O'Keefe drips pelvises. A skull casts shadows on a burnt sienna adobe wall. It's not death, but the remains. Peculiar details flash back. The tightness, the lack of breath, the inability to start over linger. An apprehension that requires a vodka martini to quiet.
Mhm.
Death does not arrive to quell the torn and bruised, only emptiness. Skulls float, horns scratch, blue sky burns a salty sun. 3. She knows. The mountain curves like a woman on her knees, wiping clean a stone floor. She looks up, her reflection twisted in a transparent sliding glass door. She is an apparition. She is lost to herself. The door, a simple slide lock. She can leave, step outside. She pauses. It is possible to flip open the lock. A car crunches gravel on the driveway. She hears footsteps, the buzzing heat, antlers, horns, the curve into sky. 4. A martini. At dawn, the desert hums, the path covered in dirt, pebbles scattered under dry desert mesquite, a bull's skull ornamentally hung over an open doorway, bleached bones white. It is difficult. Ask any mujer who has found herself degraded on a bed over a stone floor. Sometimes it gets bad. Since learning this, I've needed to sleep 2 hours each afternoon. Often I wake tangled in shadow, disoriented, angry, ranting, needing a vodka martini.
Mhm.
Yeah, I need those martinis. So, wow, this is going really well. I'm looking at the time. So I have another little longer poem in that section. It continues with more of the disassociative breaking that happens under these circumstances, and then this is the last poem in that section. 3 variations near a mountain. So do not be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. Matthew 10:31. 1.
Mhm.
I have grown phoenix feathers across my shoulder blades, elbows, wrists, arms open, flowing mid-air. I soar through broken mornings. Ants scatter on bathroom tiles, earthworms roil in rain-soaked dirt, death, dirt, to die numerous times, but never die. A hand can slap a face. A hand can clench a hammer. A hand can break windows, shrines, bones. Death becomes our fragile bodies. Juanita's fingers wrapped around a crucifix. She was no more of this world. She became clear when wind swept sky. 2. All this business of keeping the body warm, the you and I, prayers answered by prickly pear cactus in bloom, the quiet breathing of knowing a cool adobe wall under a desert moon. These fingers rustle pearly sands, grasp open doors, radiate other than despair, other than we're dead. the rough texture of a pinyon pine, the sharp point of a needle, a drop of blood smeared dry. Fingers pluck guitar strings, notes rise. We open to praiseworthy song. 3. Leaving, leaving my car in the parking lot. Leaving a lion in a cage, a spider in a web, a shark in a cold sea. Leaving, leaving behind. It was through my hands, my fingers, the skin and bones, I became the pinyon pine, the pearly sand. My mother held me close. She lifted me into this life. At sunrise, she manifests near a mountain. May love continue. En tiempos buenos y en tiempos malos, say yes. Nestle down slow para siempre. Juanita, my mother, her fingers never let go. She rose into sky only to stay. A bird lands on a branch, shakes loose a hillside, a wisp of cloud, all that we need. Thank you. I know I'm smiling, but it's because we can heal. I went through one of the most horrific experiences that a person can do, and through writing, through literature, through community, through reading, it's true that we are more than any of that. And we are more than this current moment. Thank you, Rosemary, for wanting the book.
All right. Adela, thank you so much. And I really love those words. And if you want to put a link to where we can get the book, that would be great. I know it's also on your website, and I know on our Substack you have we have a link to you in your website, I think. But yeah, put the link in the chat too, because that's how you get them to buy. Impulse buys right now. As few clicks as possible between you and getting the book. Uh,
Okay, okay, I'll get it done. I'll get it done. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, that's wonderful. And and I think this is your first time doing any poetry salon event. So thank you for being here, and really, really glad that we were able to make this happen. So next on up is Mark Danowsky. Mark, we talk about you behind your back all the time because you are the editor of One Art, and so we're always like, oh, did you see that poem in One Art? Or I wonder if Mark would like this for One Art. So we're talking about you all the time. But you're also a poet and not just the editor of One Art. You are, let's see, let's look at your very short bio here. Mark Danowsky, poetry, craft essay editor, is a Philadelphia poet. He is editor-in-chief of One Art, a journal of poetry, senior editor for Schuylkill Valley Journal. You can tell me how badly I butchered that in a moment. Poetry Craft Essays editor for Cleaver magazine, and a regular contributor for Versification. Visit his bio page here. And of course, you can put your bio page in the chat as well. Buttons, buttons, buttons. Please welcome to our virtual stage, man of the hour, spotlight for everyone, Mark Danowsky.
Grazie. Thank you for having me and for the lovely introduction. And Adela, that was magnificent reading. Distressing, as I'll elaborate on momentarily, but magnificent. So yes, again, thank you for having me. I think there'll be a little bit of a through line in some of what I'll be reading. Oh, so Schuylkill Valley Journal is the name, and I'm no longer with the journal, but I was managing editor for about 8 years, and I was leading up to I left, and then I started One Art. So yeah, I don't talk about it too much, but I was in a domestic abuse situation as well, and yeah, I believe 1 in 6 men have that experience. And I really appreciated the language that you used, Adela. Specifically, I wrote down that you said to say the truth, you have to work through it. And so for take care, I thought that I was actually dealing with aspects of that. And the book is dedicated to caregivers and it's about caregiving. But I also thought I was writing this other book, and I was absolutely not writing that book. And it's hard to get there and look at, and I kind of don't like. Part of me doesn't want to do it. It's a really sort of complicated right to right situation too, because the other person involved is not alive to tell her part of the story, so that really complicates matters. Um, anyway, I'll leave on that uncomfortable cliffhanger and read some poems that will be probably lighter than what I just shared, just like by default. Okay, fluidity. Isn't it odd that fluid is other? How nonconformity draws fear instead of wonder and curiosity and ambiguity again. This uncertain, destabilized groundwork sends minds in retreat away from possibility. This is what I've actually never read aloud. It's kind of like a newer thing. And it's from the pandemic, which we haven't dealt with as a society in any public fashion, which really isn't good for healing a nation. So hopefully we get to work on that in a future administration. We fell apart. There was tension when you said no about getting vaccinated. We were all so scared, it felt necessary to take an absolutist stance. Was anyone Sorry. Was anyone wrong or merely confused by the flooded zone? I have no idea if we'll ever sort through the public grief. Why is there no monument to such epic loss of life? We commission statues for less courage and valor. All that talk about essential workers. We double down on labor, risk, loss for the marginalized. After all, we were never trending post-race, and class is merely whispered. I regret not seeing people at key moments when fear won the day. I masked and masked, well beyond most, gaining stares. Now I choose my moments, self as circumstance, identity as guard. I want to reveal multitudes as proof that all is spectrum. Yet I know intentions roll off closed minds who just see other. I want to say, look how I am like you, and yet not like you. All right, so this will be a slight change of pace. That was a hydration break, kind of like at the World Cup, due to the heat. FIFA's being somewhat compassionate, which is shocking for that organization. The trash truck's metal arm, an invention of pure genius. This metal arm that shoots out, grabs hold of a trash can with its forked hand, lifts the can, and dumps the contents into its head. The alternative is people outside on the coldest days when all you want to do is sit inside drinking cup after cup of hot chai while these soldiers brave cold and terrible smells from all we use and toss, hand feeding the contents into the truck's dark, gaping mouth. So this is one that I've also never read aloud, that touches on the domestic violence kind of situation. It's at least it okay. At least it's sort of on that theme. Through the cracked window, you watched me and our 5'3" landlord drag the broke down fridge out to the yard in the heavy rain. Drenched 2 a.m., we gave up and left the damn thing in the middle of that sloped space adjacent to our lives in a basement looking out at flush woods in warmer months. There was a drop-off since everything in West Virginia is carved into the side of a goddamn mountain. By day, the bird feeders taught me appreciation in spite of my world's particular horrors, wrapped up in the tumultuous I could not repair. All right. This is all kind of like newer stuff. This is called Child Free. I originally actually titled it Childless, and I feel like Child Free is better because choice. And then also, like, I don't know, people with children, I think, or would think Child Free was the move. Okay, you can tell me though. Child Free. No one will ever call me father or dad. I can live with this. In high school, a friend said that I'd make a good dad. I was told by a teacher I'd make a good actor. Only one was a compliment. I didn't realize this until much later. Long before the worst of the worst times, I made a pact not to bring a child into the situation. Unethical. I could suffer. I could not allow the cycle. Genetics matter. Nature, nurture. We always say it's the other drivers I worry about. I lost a war. The foolish part is I believed I could white knuckle skirmishes for all time without breaking down. One day, my mind said, enough. Enter shutdown mode, which at the time I did not know was dissociation. After a decade, bad gigs finished the job, leaving me a new baseline, chronic pain. Better to call it intermittent pain, like the abuse, not to whitewash, rather disempower. Find moments when hurt lessens. We can notice and call it relief. So yeah, that was actually kind of on the nose, I suppose. So let's see. I was gonna do 1, 2, 3, I think 4 more. What do you think, Tricia? Is that we have time? They're not super long ones. Okay. Rootless. These are, so now we're transitioning to sort of the chronic pain stuff that sort of caught up with me, which I think a decade or so of abuse takes a physical toll on the body. Rootless. The nurse reminds you, you knew her back when she was pregnant, back when you were last at this hospital for Lord knows what, for Lord knows how long, given the sheer volume of visits this past half-decade, rife with nebulous pain and without a framework for how to move forward. Elasticity. Children fly off swings, power around the jungle gym, hurl themselves down slides, over metal, right into dangers, ready to tumble without fear of falls, not needing a reminder, their bodies assure them they will get right back up. And that was actually in Blue Mountain Review in the spring issue. Shout out to Lynn Kemen for publishing that. And yeah, so that's on kind of invisible disability, just not fun. I forgot how to trust my body. Too much had gone wrong in too few years, too many trips to emergency. Crazy then to even try anything like a sport. Was I not using a cane in recent memory? I toss a flying disc, back and forth. What a strange sense of accomplishment. I'm near blushing, childlike. The way my body moved can still move. And I think I will end here. This is transubstantiation. And this is one of those weird poems that just kind of like came out sort of muse-like and is not something I would expect myself to write. It's weird. Okay. Um, and like for a fun fact background, I also grew up in an Orthodox Jewish household. So like it's just funny that I sort of like am writing about this. Okay. So there's a epigraph from Jay-Z's The Black Album off of his track Lucifer. The Black Album second verse is like devil's pie. Save some dessert for us. Oh, messing up my J lines. Okay. Transubstantiation. The best songs meet you more than halfway. Don't tell you how to be, tell you what you need, yet could not know you need, until the verses drop. Holy water, holy grail, all that is holy takes hold. Your body now, the vessel, feels motion, praises, a little nod, sway, maybe faith, that slight breeze. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Mark. I am going to just get rid of the spotlight altogether. And now here we are, sort of Knights of the Round Table. There's no person in focus. We're all equals. We're all equals here in the Hollywood squares of our poetry. The um yeah, I just want to say again, thank you, Adela and Mark. And I'm never afraid of having a heavier reading or readings that deal with heavier topics. There's that famous quote that art is here to comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. So that is the work, and thank you for bringing it. I'll just say, I'm a compulsive prompt giver, as some of you know. If you are struggling to write something for ethical reasons or any other reasons, the best thing I think any advice anyone has ever given me is write the poem or the book of poems about why you can't write this poem or book of poems. And sometimes that is the solution unto itself. So I offer that up. Um, so we're going to open up to an open mic, and we are a pretty large group tonight. There's 26 of us. So if you want to read, I think probably the best way to do this might be just to ask folks to raise their hand, because if I try to make a list, it's just a little difficult. And I'm going to call on people in the order in which I see them. So, Rosemary raised her hand first, and Cindy, you're next, and I will keep calling on people. And if I miss you, don't worry. We'll have a portion at the end of the evening where I ask, did I miss anyone? So everyone who wants to read will get to read. Please do only read one poem, preferably a poem that's under a page long. And is there anything else I'm forgetting to say? Okay. All right. Rose, you are up.
Okay, I nearly forgot. I was a little bit torn between continuing the domestic violence theme or lightening the mood a little bit, and I decided I would lighten the mood a bit. This is from my new book, From My Father's Sky, and it's called Pull Up and Go. The streets too narrow, the boys too ugly, mother too mother. Landscapes made from iron and stainless steel, gasometers and loading cranes, coal trains. There was one row of sycamores in the forest where acid rain had eaten the green. You kissed Heinz in the fire-red light of the glowing slag runoff, or rather, he kissed you. And wet and slobbery it was, and the mirror showed no change, no maturing. Your sacrifice had left no visible mark. And he told. You couldn't wait to get out, reinvent yourself, go where no one knew, that you grew in a world of soot and glowing steel, that you kissed the wrong boy at the wrong time, that you once wore woolly knickers and had no idea what virginity was, and how you wish you could go home again. But they don't know you anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Next on up is Cindy, and I'm going to say after Cindy will be John Wessock.
Thank you. Wow, Rose, that was, if that was lightening the mood, I'm sure glad you didn't keep it serious. Can I share my screen?
I
do that.
I think it's built in. Yeah, I think you should be able to share your screen at this point.
Okay. Okay.
Here we go.
All right. This I wrote after reading, some of you may have also read about the children recently who were rescued from a household, 16 children who were rescued from a house that was unfit for living conditions. They're age 1 to 18. And one of the authorities said they were going to do whatever they could to find justice for these children. So I got to thinking about what justice for the children might look like. Justice eats food that's not on the floor, has privacy to relieve oneself. Justice hears a kind word. Justice is not afraid. Justice has clean clothes to wear, sleeps in its very own bed, can choose which toys to play with, can cry in loving arms. Justice gets to go outside. Justice doesn't have to hide. Justice has a book to read. Justice can be loud sometimes. Turns the wagon right side up. Justice can laugh. Justice is safe. Justice heals. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. All right, John, you're next, and after John will be Brandon.
Okay, so I ended up on a jury for a child molester case, and here's a poem about that called Lewd Act on a Child. The judge, the bench, the gleaming courthouse, its clean hallways and eloquent professionals, polite and neatly dressed. The doe-eyed man in the defendant's chair has a shaved head, mahogany skin, wears a brown Hugo Boss suit. Seeing him come and go as he pleases, you could mistake him for a millionaire. Gold watch, slender daughter, aged between girl and woman. This poem is a question. The state invites 50 jurors to this performance, only half RSVP. The others have already acted in sad dramas all too familiar to this one. Who has the burden of proof? Can you convict on the word of one person? 12 are chosen. Blonde, with a face not yet lined by maturity, the victim was once friends with the doe-eyed man's daughter. Even the judge winces when in tears, arms clamped over her chest, the victim says, the doe-eyed man put his finger inside her. The doe-eyed man says, never happened. No physical evidence, only a recorded phone call. In the deliberation room, 11 jurors accelerate from zero to conviction in less than 7 seconds. Innocent until proven guilty, so out of fashion these days. I munch courtroom bagels while the foreman fuels the steamroller of peer pressure. At night, the tapeworm of rage gnaws my brain. Easier to find unicorns in lizard milk than a fair trial. Still, that suspicious phone call. Why would an adult tell a 14-year-old, I wish you were 18? The jury returns a conviction. Look at the victim's smile of vindication. Look at the doe-eyed man's impassive face. Look at his daughter's grimace and wail. Now answer my goddamn question.
All right. Thank you, John.
Wow.
Brandon, you are up. And let's see. Next on deck is Carla. Brandon, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Just want to say thank you so much for the reading from Adela and Mark. It turns out I'm one in the 6 men, so I'm one of them. So it was inspiring to hear tonight. I'm going to go a little bit lighter and read a poem called Love Poem for the Universe. You recycled my stardust for millennia, like laundry, energy flowing unknowingly like electricity through a filament. Our epiphytic symbiosis is the only orchid of its kind, hitching a ride on the great tree of life, unfurling petals of our poetry every now and again. Chaos theory tosses bad days into our right now plans like gusts of wind through the webs of spiders, continuously reconnecting disturbed vertices until the next desired meal happens along. Those are the sweet nothings you whisper when the world paints itself larger or smaller than just enough, that you've always held steadfast faith in change. The intonations of your voice heralding our poem across eons of cosmos, tidal waves of ripples. God nods his head silently, like yesterday's sunset. There's beauty in the simplest of remembrances, and I'll miss you when you're gone.
Nicely done, Brandon. Thank you. Next up is Carla. Carla, welcome.
Thank you. And okay, I'm reading a poem called Today I Started to Write About America. And that's the first line of the poem. And got lost looking out the window, the bright sunshine gleaming on the still white snow of yesterday's blizzard, branches popping in chorus, freed in a puff of melt from the weight of clumps. Whose America might I have written anyhow? The America of placards, of costumes and shouts, the America of pretense, of safety, of status quo, the America of hard work, of living the dream, an America with all its chest puffing missile might, its misspent dotage that brings me shame. Who is my America? Here she is, a sapling, surviving, reaching for light in the shadows of surrounding pine, oak, and hemlock, their networks of roots gone dormant in the freeze. What does she have to say, to strive for, huddled into herself, hunched over, head buried in snow, a dancer in bow, waiting for the sun to do his work, waiting to burst out from under heavy thumb, to spring back in release? Thank you.
All right, nicely done. Oh, did I say who was after Carla? I don't think so. So Zach, you are next, and after you will be Laura.
Hey everybody, this is my first time doing the poetry salon, so I'm excited about that. And I am not gonna be political with this poem, but I will say that whether you're right or left or up or down, uh, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. And also, I am also really glad that the hair sniffer is gone. And now I'll read my poem. Mommy, don't starve the clouds. Mommy, don't starve the clouds, she says. So I look over the clouds, their weightlessness. For her, I'll hand logic over to the clouds. Our ancestors' ancestors left offerings for the dark sky. They couldn't take a chance and toss a blind eye over the clouds. Lovers wrestle with cold passion's weight, the weight of its lightness. The hot sun was flustered. She could never get over the clouds. Sometimes heaven seems to float just behind clouds passing above. Look I, love, asking, does God see who's sleeping over the clouds? Does the balloon know what's keeping it afloat within the air? Question answers hover over heads and up over the clouds. I live in Florida. I've surrendered to the sky's lowness. Then I drift somewhere else, but I'll never get over the clouds.
Nice. Thank you, Zach. Or
Thank you.
Zachary.
Either way, whatever floats your boat.
Thank you, poet. I'm just going to call you poet. How about that?
That sounds good. Thank you for your time, and I enjoyed Mark's poems, and I enjoyed. I'm forgetting her name. I'm bad with first
Adela.
names. Adela, yes, I'm more familiar
Yeah.
with Mark, but yeah, great reading.
And welcome, and I hope you come back. Next on up, Laura, and after Laura, we'll have Thomas on deck. So welcome, Laura.
Thanks. This is my first time too. Really appreciated both readings and this group, so thanks. This is World Water Day. In the dry Tortugas we swam, masked, looking at fish we did not know and living coral, not the dried skeletons we saw on the beach, but networks of creatures hungry and swaying in the salty sea. Within the fort, a system of sluices and cisterns served for a century to wet the dry lips of soldiers and prisoners. Now, fresh water flows from tanks floated here on ships. Today, home in Maine, where water is still abundant, I remember the manatee in Key West who came to the dock begging for water. A man there turned his hose to her open mouth. He said, "You're not supposed to do this because it accustoms them to the boats that can damage and kill them, but the only fresh water here is from the outflow pipes, so I can't tell her no."
All right. Nicely done. Thank you. And Thomas, you are up.
Okay, not my first time here. Thank you for leaping into the breach, the MC breach tonight, Tricia, and I was happy to see Mark and Adela. Thank you both. A three-part short post-apocalyptic series, I guess. Awake in the wee hours ×3. 1. The old regime has fallen, and everyone's gone. Worthless money and useless train tickets lie scattered on stained, grimy concrete as a gentle wind stirs them and rings the chimes in a street vendor's stall somewhere not so far as sparrows whistle and chatter near spilled trash bins, so quiet otherwise. 2. The daffodils are silent. We had been separated by tsunamis and blizzards after all the oil tankers went down under their burning slicks. We couldn't find each other, I by myself, you with other lost people going who knew where, with a self-appointed leader. I was alone, and we knew this was the last cell phone call. 3. Inside the house. Inside the house once mine, I search shelves, drawers, cabinets, end tables. There are still a few things I owned, but now nothing worth carrying. End poem.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. I'm going to call on Mary Lisa. Mary Lisa next. But just a moment, I'm going to interrupt for a quick commercial break. Let you gather yourself. So I think probably most people on this call are on the Poetry Salon Substack, but I'm putting the link in the chat in there. This is how I communicate largely, and so when we had to change things, I put it on the Substack there, and that's a way that I can communicate with the poets and not quite 100% quite so publicly. So I just want to remind people, if you want to be reminded of when we have events and have a direct line to me, please get on there. And I also want to let everyone know that this Saturday we are doing something called the Saturday Celebration, where I will invite people to come and read a poem of their own, and then we also use that to have inspiration for doing more creative writing. So it's this interesting combination between a poetry reading, a generative writing session, and also a submission support group. It's kind of a choose your own adventure. And this Saturday, we have the fabulous Brenda Cardenas, who has been a featured poet, and she's coming to the Poetry Salon. And so if you've never heard her read, she's just one of the most friendly, bubbly, enthusiastic writers and supporters of writing. Please make it out if you can do that. Okay, that is the commercial break.
What
And it is
time? What
now.
time?
Oh,
What
thank
time?
you for asking. Well, it's noon East Coast time. That's 9 Pacific Coast time and different hours depending on where you are. But noon East Coast time, and yeah. And of course, if you're a subscriber on it, you can see all of the times and the logistical things. And I am terrible with times and dates, so whatever I say here, definitely double check the Substack and then double check the calendar and then email me and say things like, Trisha, there is no 31st day of February. I think you got it wrong, which has happened before. Okay, with that said, who did I call on just a moment ago? Mary Lisa, welcome.
Hi, how are you? I have a pantoum. It's called Winter Drive. My ex-husband sends me a song. It's called Wedding Song. My ex-lover sends me a text. Says he misses my kisses. It's called Wedding Song when my husband helps me load up the car, says he misses my kisses each time I leave for travel. And as my husband helps me load up the car, I pack as though I might never come back. Each time I leave for travel, melting snow looks like continents. I pack as though I might never come back. 15 feels like 6 with the wind chill. Frozen snow looks like continents. It takes 7 bridges to get here. 15 feels like 6 with the wind chill. I may have gotten lost after taking a detour. It took 7 bridges to get here. Goodbye, road behind me. I may have gotten lost after taking a detour. My ex-lover sends a text. Goodbye, road behind me. My ex-husband sends me a song.
Fabulous pentoem. Um,
Thank you.
yes. Oh, I've comments about pentoems, but I'll save those for the workshop. So just fantastic. We don't get to see nearly enough of them, and that was a beautiful one. Thank you for sharing. Okay, next on up, I see Natalia Trevino, and on deck is Tina. So please welcome Natalia and tell me if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Hi, Tricia. Yes, yes, you are. Thank you. And I didn't pronounce yours correctly when I first said Tresha. So, por favor, discúlpame. Sorry. It's my first time here. I saw Adela's post about this event and I was thrilled to come and see her. So, and I'm reading from my brand new book of poetry, just came out. It's called When You Were Human. And the whole book is exploring why the feminine divine and maybe why we turn to the divine. So this is the Virgin of Guadalupe as a car air freshener. Before I became one of yours, I'd seen you solely as ornament, strung from the thick, thin neck of a rearview mirror, a cardboard woman floating above traffic, and whose scent of pine sol soaked in her cardboard skirts hid the stink of gasoline and our disbelief. You were someone Juelita hung on her necklace, her bedroom wall, and next to her kitchen table. A shrouded and sad woman, painted to glass votives, murals, tattooed to the skin of men. You were a mother who once checked her own simmering beans, who imbibed broth and drank the teas made with yerba buena. Your job now to remain motionless in your grief or your prayer. I could never tell which. I remember the flame, no bigger than a child's fingertip, dancing along the rim, inside the glass candle, how it backlit your body like a small indoor sun. Now, all these etchings, rosaries, basilicas, these frescoed cathedrals make me ask, is this all prayer or propaganda? Depends. I come from a baker, a mechanic, and a gambler. I come from the women who depended on them. I come from people like the taxi driver and his wife, who all needed a practical way to pray.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Next on up is Tina, and after Tina is T.
So this is actually a pretty hard poem. For some reason, throughout my life, people have told me about their rapes, and I collected them into a poem. But I'm only going to read the last one. So the name of it is "What Women Whispered to Me." And I did check with a friend of mine who's a physician and poet, and she said that the anonymity of this person is held within this poem. I sat at my desk in the ER, heard her quietly flitting voice hearken in a room near me, speaking in interruptions,
like a nearly silenced, slow-moving strobe. No, don't. Please don't. Several men gang raped her. As ER staff waited hours for her next step in care, she continued living within those awful moments. Her timid pleas for mercy, unheeded and out of our reach.
All right. Thank you, Tina.
So sad.
Okay. And T. Paulson, welcome. T, this is your first time here, right?
No, I read at this reading sometimes.
T, I'm totally kidding. T is she practically has the spare key to the poetry salon's everything.
I've missed the
Go
last
ahead
few
and read us a
Wednesdays, though, I
poem.
think. My phone just shut off. Okay, so wow, I mean, we've had such heartbreaking poems tonight, such amazing heartbreaking poems. And I mean, lovely reading. I love Mark's book, and gonna have to order Adela's book, one more book on my reading list. Yay. Some of you might know that I have Limericks Instagram account. I have my regular one for serious poems, but I have my Limericks one that's just dedicated to limericks because, as the editors here will attest, there really is no market for limericks in journals. So I just decided to self-publish them. And so I respond to a lot of different things, but one of the things I do is respond to books that I read. So I'm going to read one I wrote in response to Maria Giesbrecht's book called A Little Feral. And the poem borrows a line from her book called her poem in the book called White Birds. Heaven's ex-wives hunt Easter eggs, and now there's a robin's nest, faint and white. All around it, the saints ask, where are the birds? The angels write words in feathers and virginal paint.
Nicely done, T. Thank you. This is the point where I asked, did I miss anyone? Does anyone else want to read who hasn't read yet? Going once, going twice. All right, I will close this out. I already did my commercial for the Poetry Salon in general, but I also should probably say that we're doing a really interesting thing, I think, with the Poetry Salon. I decided to take some of the workshops that I used to teach that were some of my pricier workshops, and I'm putting them on a donation basis this year, and we'll see how that goes. And part of the reason I'm wanting to do that is because so much is in chaos right now, and I don't think poetry should only be for those who can afford it. And so I want to make sure that people have a space to learn more about the craft of poetry. And the other reason is that this functions a little bit more like a lecture series. We share ideas, we talk about poetry, we write, and then not everyone shares. For that, we do still have our closed group, which is our feedback group. But if you're interested in our creative writing group, all of that info is in the Substack. And I have a suggested donation, but truly, I just want anyone who wants to learn more about poetry craft to join us, and that'll be starting the 20th of this month. And we're talking Structure and Surprise Part 2, which is my favorite book. Absolutely one of my favorite craft books to talk about. And it's the book that I think has helped make me a published poet. I was a poet before I read it. After reading it, I was a published poet. So that's my endorsement of it. All right. And because I really don't have a preference for lighter poems versus not light poems. I think we're here to share the human experience, and there is a great quote from Galway Kinnell. Singing even a sad song requires an absolute happiness. So as long as people are reading and writing and sharing their work, there is something very empowering about that, whatever the subject matter may be. That being said, I'm going to share a poem that I think is really appropriate for the summer. It's called I Hope This Email Finds You Well, and you can find it on my Instagram. I hope this email finds you well, finds you in a hammock, on a mountaintop, in a garden, wearing an old t-shirt, drinking a watermelon fresca in the sunlight, noticing shadows between the leaves of a fuchsia, talking again to your dead grandmother who has returned as willow, as running water, as afternoon mist, or better yet, I hope this email doesn't find you, never finds you, looks everywhere, but cannot locate you because you are locating yourself in a field of falling silkworms, singing to hills and dandelions, walking away from your computer, new grasses fluttering under your feet, which you just discovered are actually made of wings. So,
Love it. Love it.
I hope this email never finds you. I just thought that
Love
was
it.
really, really,
Love
really
it.
fun. All right,
That's
everyone.
great.
Thank you again for being here, and a special thank you to Adela and Mark. Please get their books. Please follow them and stalk them on Facebook and social media. Submit to One Art, but only submit your best work. Incidentally, I have a reading. I'm going to be one of the featured poets at the One Art reading. And again, you can find all that information, and the link for where you can sign up or where you can get that link is on my Substack. Everything's on my Substack, my whole life, my social security number, my favorite brownie recipe, etc. It's all on my Substack. So if you want to know anything or get in contact with me, that's where to go. Okay.
Is Robbie okay?
Oh, thank you so much for asking. Yeah, if you are wondering where Robbie is, she's fine. She had an internet hacker. She's had to shut everything down, which is why she's not here. She apologizes deeply. I don't think she needs to apologize. We completely understand why she can't be here, but she does wish that she could be here, and that's part of why we record these so she can catch up and see what she missed. And again, this recording, once I've made it available, will be on my Substack.
Stack.
So you can enjoy it again. If there was a poem you really loved and you want to hear it again, you'll be able to hear it. So I re-listen to these, when I've gotten sick of listening to the news, and I say, how about I just go back and listen to some great poetry? And so I listen to these over and over, and it's I always pick up more the second or third time I hear it. So I recommend doing that. And I'm really just vamping because I don't want to say goodbye to you all. This is so much fun to meet and talk with the poets,
Thank
but
you. That's very nice.
I am hungry, so I am going to say goodbye nonetheless and talk to you all again next time. Oh, one other quick thing. Next time we have David Gate and Stevie Edwards. Two fantastic poets. David Gate writes, he got famous on Instagram and then got like a great book deal with one of I don't know, Random House, one of the big publishers. So he's an interesting case study and a fabulous poet. Definitely a cool guy to follow. And then Stevie Edwards is Stevie Edwards. She's on her fifth book of poetry. She's everywhere. She's amazing. She's my neighbor to the south in South Carolina. Don't you dare miss the next reading, guys. Go to my Substack, sign up. I'll be posting with more info about that pretty soon. And now my mouth is dry, so I gotta go. I gotta go drink some water. I will see you all again soon. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks, Teresa.
Bye.
Bye.